Call to the Booth. We back with this free agency recap show. And I already told y'all I'm rocking with Arizona, but we're going to see what other teams going to surprise us this season. Paul, drop that beat.
We're back with more Call to the Booth. That's Aqib Talib. I'm Harrison Sanford. A bunch of money was handed out over this past week during free agency. We're going to recap some of the top signings when it comes to the wide receiver side and overall look at some teams that might be elevating their status throughout the league. But Aqib, as we saw contracts being given out, and you were a free agent at once, one of the things that a lot of guys had to pay attention to, not just the money, not just the quarterback potentially if you're on the offensive side of the ball, but also the head coach. Because the wrong head coach could send you on the wrong path in your career. I would love for you to elaborate on maybe deciding head coaches. But before you do that, can you tell me who your favorite head coach was?
Oh, favorite head coach. Is this favorite head coach in the NFL or all time? Or what we talking about here, Harrison?
We should also allow for you to give a heads up or a big shout out to somebody who might not be more known to our audience. So you could name like a high school, middle school, college coach, yes. But
okay,
one that somebody would know, that'd be great as well.
All right, my favorite head coach of all time, I'm going to say Raheem Morris, man. For the Bucs, he was our head coach, 3 years? For the Bucs, he started off as my DB coach. Then as quick as he was the D coordinator, he was the head coach like a week later, you know what I'm saying? Had some good seasons, had some bad seasons, but the overall vibe of that team, man, was like no other, you know what I'm saying? And it was fun, man. He was a young head coach. We had a young team, man, and we had a lot of fun. Even when we lost games, we had fun. We won games, we had fun. So Raheem Morris definitely close. Mark Mangino super close, man. He is almost tied for first, man. He was one of my favorite, one of the most competitive guys I ever been around. So Mark Mangino, Raheem Morris, it's between them two guys.
The number one trait that you want in your head coach?
Confidence. I want him to be so confident, man, that it feeds throughout the locker room. So number one trait that's going to draw me to the team is a head coach with confidence. That's why I went to Kansas. Mangino was a cocky, super confident guy, man. I'm like, he going to send me to the league. He made me feel like he was going to send me to the league. That's how he came in my living room when I was in high school. So definitely confidence.
Well, speaking of confidence, it seems as if Kenny Golladay has confidence in Daniel Jones and Joe Judge, the head coach for the New York Giants. Signed a 4-year, $72 million deal. In this segment, we're going to break down 6 impact wide receiver signings. He's the first one. I know you were angling for him or encouraging him to potentially go, at least through the show, to go to the Miami Dolphins, but he ends up in the NFC East. What were your immediate thoughts?
I think it's good, man. A great run game like that. You got Saquon. You know, he draw a lot of attention. He make you put 8 guys in the box. And then to complement that, you need a guy who make you take that 8th guy out the box, man. And that's the perfect guy for the job. Like I said before, the best 50-50 ball guy in the league right now, in my opinion. So I think it's a perfect complement for what they're trying to do, man. They don't really have that number one guy. They got that number one guy now. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how his positioning now maybe puts the other players, and maybe it complements everybody a bit better now, because Darius Slayton now can go to the outside. You can have Sterling Shepard in the slot. You still have Evan Ingram. I would say, this is probably a make it or break it year for Daniel Jones.
It pretty much may be, man. So if he don't be productive this year, they definitely will be looking for another quarterback. Quarterback is almost like head coach, man. It's a short leash. You better show some promising stuff early, or they gonna move on. So definitely a make it or break it for Daniel Jones. But I think he got a key piece. He didn't have a X receiver. You ain't have a number one guy, and that's a crucial piece for the run game, for the other receivers, for everybody. So I think that Kenny Golladay pickup it'll do work for the Giants.
And we saw last year how competitive their defense was. Things are looking up for them in that division. Potentially, we're going to talk about another team in the division who made some upgrades as well. But we're going to go to a guy who used to terrorize the New York Giants, I would know, being a fan. DeSean Jackson now signing with the Los Angeles Rams, a one-year deal. I know you know DeSean well. I know you were happy for the deal. What does he do for Matthew Stafford?
Man, he just stretched the field. The Rams always had good receivers. And you know, in that offense, they need that one guy like Cooks who really going to stretch that field. They ain't really had that guy last year. So, man, DeSean will fit right in. He still can run. He's going to come back healthy. He had a great offseason. See, when you get hurt, that's the thing when you get hurt. You automatically just have a great offseason because you're trying to get back, man. So I know he's going to come back in some great shape. And he'll be that up top guy for the Rams. And with that offense, you need that. You have to have that. So he got that. They got that back in their offense now. Cooper Kupp could work the underneath. The young bull could work the underneath stuff. Let Sean go up top. I think any at home, man, he going to be comfortable. I think it'll be a perfect fit for both sides.
Interestingly enough, the Eagles, they probably didn't think they were going to get back to DeSean Jackson. Made a move or made a attempt to get JuJu Smith-Schuster. JuJu turned down more money to go back to Pittsburgh. Considering if you were JuJu, would you have gone back to Pittsburgh to play with Big Ben for maybe one more year at $8 million?
Definitely.
Or taken a pay bump and played in Philadelphia?
Well, I think JuJu pretty much had him 1-year deals out there, man. So it wasn't a huge bag out there for him that was really going to pull him. If I was JuJu, if it was a huge bag that was going to pull me from Pittsburgh, I'd go. But if I was in that situation, a bunch of 1-year deals, man, I'm staying right where I'm at. I'm comfortable here. I know the playbook. I know what Big Ben going to do. And we started off, 13-0 or something? That's a good football team. So late injuries really bit that team. And he wanted to win games. So, Pittsburgh, they're always in the runnings, man. So he did the right thing.
Popular brand he's playing with as well. You've been a guy who's been on the market before. JuJu has a name brand. He's a commodity outside of just playing football. He's also known well. Do you think he was maybe taken aback by some of the offers that he saw other guys get that he didn't get? Like, obviously, the Kenny Golladay deal is a big one. You saw Corey Davis get a deal with the New York Jets. Even Will Fuller got more to go to Miami. And maybe that's similar to what he was going to get in Philadelphia. But how do you think knowing the star or the name commodity that he is, how do you think he took that?
Well, I mean, I know somebody in this camp was kind of telling him, it's kind of overcrowded. It's an overcrowded market at receivers. Every year is one position that is like, it's a lot of guys who can play ball at this position. And that kind of hurt them for the offseason. You know what I'm saying? I was part of that one time. Oh, it was a bunch of corners, free agents. We all signed 1-year, $6 million deals. So, and it's good corners coming out. When it's good people at that position coming out of college, and you got a bunch of free agents at the same time, guys know, like, you know what I'm saying? You just gonna get the short end of the stick. A few guys gonna get paid. Them top guys gonna get paid. And I guess JuJu wasn't one of those top guys. So, I mean, I don't know how he look at it, but it's part of the business, man. That's why you got another year. You go make $8-9 million 1 year, and you right back at the table. You got to prove it here. So I think he'll do his thing, man. He'll be right back at the table, ready for a bag.
Speaking of somebody who did change locations, didn't stay. There's a whole mess going on in Houston. Will Fuller is now with the Miami Dolphins. How do you think he potentially works there with Tua? Obviously, you make the move if you have the opportunity to go there. But how do you think he helps Tua Tagovailoa?
Man, I think this is one of the best plays to me of free agency, man. You put Will Fuller, Adam with Devontae Parker. Now they got a Z receiver who can really stretch the field. Tua throw a great deep ball, man. He just need a guy who can really go get it. Now he got it. So them just keys to offenses that make you great. You look at all the big-time offenses, they got a guy who can really stretch the field. They got a tight end who could work this side. They got a X receiver, a real number one receiver. So I think it was just a key piece that the Dolphins was missing, man. The Dolphins is a dangerous football team. I'm starting to like the Dolphins, man. So you add Will Fuller, and that just adds a level of speed that they really didn't have. That's what they was missing. So I'm excited to see it.
The AFC East is going to be a lot tougher than it was last year with Bill re-upping on a bunch of players. You still got the Buffalo Bills. You see the Miami Dolphins played well last year. we still don't know what's going to happen with the Jets, but you would like to think that they are trying to improve as well. Interesting move here for the Washington football team, getting very dynamic with their wide receivers, signing Curtis Samuel. Now, last year, Curtis Samuel was somebody who was picked up on the waiver wire. And we haven't talked about fantasy football too much, so I'm going to throw this one out there at you. If you are drafting Curtis Samuel, is he a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, or is he a flex? Or is he still somebody that you wait for the waiver wires? Ryan Fitzpatrick is his new quarterback. He's there with Terry McLaurin.
I see Samuel as like a number 2 guy. So if you're a number 2 guy, in that offense, not as far as fantasy football go, I see him on his offense. He's like the number 2 guy. McLaurin gonna be the number 1 guy. So man, if I'm talking about number 2 guys, man, you almost my flex or a waiver wire guy, in my opinion. So them your first 2 receivers you draft, they probably gonna be starters. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna be starters. They're gonna be the number 1 receiver on their team. And you had 2 number 1 receivers. Your flex is probably a number 2 guy, maybe a running back, a slot guy, or something like that. So I'll say a flex guy. I look at Samuel as a flex.
Well, I guess the one thing that's interesting about him, and we saw flashes of this in Carolina, he's not just necessarily going to catch passes. There were sometimes he would run reverses.
Right.
He was very dynamic. So I think he might have a little bit more allure than your typical wide receiver flex, waiver wire type of guy. Maybe a nice late flyer, maybe.
Yeah. One of Percy Harvin type of guys. You want to get the ball in his hand. He can catch fades. He can run tosses for you, reverses. He can do everything, man. So, sometimes those guys, they be so involved in the defensive game plan. Them the kind of guys you take out the game. We got to know every time he on the field, we know where he at. So, they have off and on games, in my opinion, man. So, I pick number 1 receivers, X receivers. Them my first 2 receivers I'm going to pick. And then, kind of guys who you my reverse / screen guy. If you one of those kind of guys, that's a flex role, in my opinion, man. It's hit or miss. He can really help us some weeks. Some weeks he's not that productive. So that's just how I look at it, Harrison.
So last one, and we'll go back to a team that I know you like going for this upcoming season. And you've covered wide receivers that have been ultra athletic, ultra talented in the primes of their careers. And you've also covered guys who are coming towards the end of their careers. From what you saw from A.J. Green this year, what was different from his level of play, and how much do you think what he can bring to Arizona helps Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, and a newly added J.J. Watt, at least on the defensive end, win that division?
I think the A.J. Green we see today, he probably, I'll say probably like year 10 or 11. Correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, but I think about year 10, year 11, everybody loses a step, right? So you can see he lost a step, but he's still a good receiver, man. He still creates separation. He still can make 50-50 catches. So I think he's still going to take some of the pressure off Hopkins, and he just get in more depth, man. I don't really know the status of Larry. I don't think Larry's signed right now, so I think he made it. He's like he a veteran presence, man. He'll take some of the pressure off Hopkins, but I still think Kurt and Hop is really pretty much going to start on the outside, in my opinion. I think Christian Kirk, you can't take that explosiveness off the field. So he's kind of that speed guy on the outside, so I don't really see them taking that off the field. But I see a lot of depth, though, man. When guys get hurt, you got A.J. Green filling in, and, of course, they have packages where all 3 of them on the field at the same time. So, man, I think he just bring a lot of depth, a lot of veteran presence to that team.
So I think Kenyon Drake is no longer on the team. So I got to double check that. But I believe Kenyon Drake signed.
Yeah, Drake gone.
Paul, yeah. Kenyon Drake, landed with the Raiders. Do you think that Kyler has all that he needs offensively to make that a top 5 offensive unit?
Well, I think they need a running back. I think they need an explosive running back, and then that offense will be complete. So this draft, I see them going running back, man. The O-line is cool. They can go O-line, running back. But if they get a running back, who knows, a Kenyon Drake type guy or even more explosive who can make plays. One of these, you know how these running backs come out of college. It's always 3 or 4 of them who go crazy. So If they able to land one of those 3 or 4 who's ready for the league, who's gonna come out and be explosive, man, catching passes and running the ball, then I will put them as one of the top offenses in the NFL.
Cardinals have the 16th pick in round 1 of the NFL draft.
But it's gonna be between 15 and 16. That's the Patriots. That's the Patriots in Arizona. One of them gonna draft like Najee Harris or something, watch. Or Eton. One of them guys gonna be right there in the middle of the draft. All these quarterbacks and these good receivers, man, it's gonna be one of those 2 running backs is gonna still be there smack in the middle of the draft, 15, 16. The Patriots is 15, Cardinals 16. Watch what I tell you. Najee Harris or Eton, whatever one there, gonna land right there. Boom. Be immediate impact.
When we come back with Call to the Booth, we're actually going to talk about the Cardinals potentially and other teams that we envision maybe making a big move in their divisions next season. We'll be right back with Call to the Booth.